I used to be about 379 pounds. I had the diabetes for 20 years. I had a hole in my foot from a diabetic foot ulcer. And first I had my big toe taken off. He goes, well, you need to chop off your other 4 toes. You need to remove them. Their idea of a diabetic diet is a joke. And they found the infection right inside my spine. Well, that was only supposed to be on for about 6 weeks.
Yeah.
They had me on for 6 years. I had to go to the hospital. I waited there for 16 hours and I sat in the wheelchair and the security guard takes me in the wheelchair and wheels me outside. Says, okay, you need to call an Uber now. It's time to go. Just kicked me out of the hospital. Don't I deserve to be healthy too and not die?
Hello and welcome. Carrie here from Healing Humanity, the power of a proper human diet. And today I'm thankful, grateful, blessed to welcome Thomas, Target Prime Rib, to the channel. Welcome, Thomas. How's it going?
Good. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing great. I'm a little chilly, a little cold here in Wisconsin, but
yeah, it's cold here too in New Jersey. So
you're in Jersey. Okay. Well,
yeah.
Listen, I'm looking forward to hearing your story. Thomas, you're a member on our Healing Humanity membership site. You've always been really awesome in the comments and a huge part of the community, which I think is so important for this. So looking forward to hearing your story. Maybe if you could start out just telling us like what initially led you to this whole crazy carnivore diet thing?
Well, I mean, I've been kind of on the track of being carnivore for quite a while. And like little things just kind of keep on going. That kind of gets me closer and closer. And I think now I'm like as close as anybody could really be. Originally, I started off, and each time I got benefits from it. I originally started off many years ago with just doing low carb, and I just increased my activity and everything. And I lost a lot of weight. I used to be about 379 pounds and went down to about 270.
Wow.
And then I didn't really lose weight after that. But what was wrong with me was obviously as I was going through it, my diabetes never went down. My blood sugars were still high. I lost the weight, but it had nothing to do with the diabetes or anything like that. It was just from the activity and from lowering my carbs. About 4 years ago, like 3-4 years ago, I had an issue where I was walking and also my ankle gave out. And at that time I was working for a car dealership, and I had to go to the hospital, and the doctor, they actually I had some kind of infection in the foot. So they put me in the hospital, and they did the infection and everything like that. But it was the beginning of everything going on. Pretty much. Like I had the diabetes for 20 years, but the foot was the first thing that ever happened. And about a year after that, about 6 months to a year after that, I'm very bad with timelines, so I apologize on that. About 6 months to a year after that, I was working for a furniture store because the car place really did not take very well to me being in the hospital. They did some things that were a little immoral that I won't mention, but just that weren't very ethical. And so when I went to the furniture store, I had some pain in my foot, so I went to the foot doctor, and ended up I had a hole like in my foot from a diabetic foot ulcer that was actually caused by neuropathy that was caused by insulin resistance, basically. And in the neuropathy for me, it wasn't that I had pain, it was that I didn't feel pain. And so ended up I had some kind of like tack or nail or something like that in my foot, and I didn't even know it. So I must have had it there for at least a few days. Wow. And ended up getting infected. And so I had to be in the hospital for quite a while. Ended up that I got onto short-term disability, which was great. Tried going back to work, but obviously it did not work out. They'd find another job that wasn't so walking, because I don't know if you know it. I mean, Papa Carnivore, he works for furniture, and he'll tell you that, it's a lot of walking
Right.
when you're working in a furniture store.
On your feet job.
Yeah, it definitely. And you basically, it's basically in the hospital, and I had to get like IV. I had to get, I don't know if have you ever heard of a PICC line? I'll explain it, but have you ever heard of it?
I have, yeah, but please do explain it, because I don't understand it fully.
So I had a PICC line from, I know you can't see my arm right now, but I had a PICC line from my arm here. It went right from there and went all the way in, and it's like a tube, basically like an IV tube, but it stays there for multiple weeks, for up to, I think it's up to 6 weeks before it has to be fully changed, and it goes in and it's about this far from the heart. So it stays there and it's more permanent because the antibiotics were so powerful that if you put a regular IV in, they'd pop them after like a day or so. So
Hmm.
you'd have to keep on getting IVs. So, it's a pain. It's a pain to get in more ways than one, but it's, it was necessary because I had the IV, I had the antibiotics for like close to 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks or something like
Oof.
that. Was
So
the prescription.
were the antibiotics for the foot?
They were for the foot, and I had antibiotics also for another problem I had later on for the back. Um, I ended up getting, fast forward a little bit. Obviously everything turned out okay, but I didn't go back to the furniture store. I ended up working, like I ended up having to like just be off of work. And at that time, while this is all going on, my mom's getting a little worse. She had metastatic breast cancer
Hmm.
at the time, and it actually metastasized into her bones. So unfortunately, she's not with us anymore. But I actually, sorry about that. I actually had, it was kind of like a thing from God, I guess you could say, that I was meant not to be able to not to work anymore. And while she was here, I took care of her, and I did get a part-time job and stuff like that. I got one full-time job when she was okay, but ended up I get COVID during that job,
Hmm.
and at that time then I couldn't pay my car, so my car got taken away because I was leasing it. So unfortunately, so because I made the decision, do I pay my rent or do I pay for the car? You know,
Hmm.
so obviously I chose rent over the car, and so it was like a lot of headaches other than even the medical headaches, and just I'm trying to, like a lot of this stuff I'm bringing up is like stuff that I've tried to forget. you know,
Right. It's almost
yeah,
like it's almost like therapy, like telling your story, right?
yeah.
So
And
with
I kind of
those,
had the same Dave too. What was that?
yeah, no, you're doing a great job. With the foot, like what ended up happening with that?
Well, with that, they did the medication. I had it wrapped. Going back to the foot again. I had it wrapped obviously because it was literally about a hole about that size and about like that deep
Hmm.
into the foot. So obviously, it took a while to heal. Um, I don't remember if they used a wound vac at that time or not. That might not have been big enough for a wound vac. But I did use a wound vac later on. And if you don't know what a wound vac is, it's pretty much a band. There's different forms of wound vacs, but it's pretty much a gauze bandage, like a sponge that goes onto your foot. And then there's a tube that's connected to the sponge. And it pretty much does some kind of like vacuuming mechanism that actually helps you develop and regrow the tissues in your foot to regrow the skin and all that. So it's modern medicine at its best.
Wow.
And I had a wound vac about like 5 times, different forms. Um, but mostly the wound vac was mostly for the other foot, which is where I got my toes removed
Hmm.
about a year later. And um, one of the nightmares I had, and I mentioned on Dave Mack, is I had a roommate that ended up, she was really good at first, but then ended up she was a really bad alcoholic. And we needed the money because my sister was helping me because now I didn't work. I was paying the rent with my mom's paycheck. Now she's passed away. So obviously there's no money coming in. So she was paying half the rent and my sister was paying the other half. God bless my sister. And so for her, we both like, okay, no matter what she does, your roommate, we have to just take it, basically. Well, then about 5 months, like she was there for about 2 years, a little over 2 years, and in about 5 months, right before she left, she decided to not work anymore, quit her job. Oh, and I worked with her at the furniture store, so that's where I met her. And she decided not to work anymore, to quit her job so she could full-time drink at home. And her average, I counted one time, her average was about 30 cans of beer a day.
Wow.
And this is a woman that's only 5'2" and like about like 110 pounds. So she, she definitely was not built. No one's built to drink that much, but she definitely wasn't built for that.
Right.
And eventually I don't know where she's at now, but eventually I think, she left, and I changed the locks, and but originally I couldn't get rid of her because the law protects her from getting kicked out, even without paying me the rent and everything.
Right.
So I got a new roommate, and he's pretty good. He's a little, he's a little sickly, and I try helping him as much as I can, but I can't get him on the carnivore diet, and everything.
Right.
But to go back though, while she's here, that's when I started having my accidents and stuff like that. And first I had my big toe taken off, and that took about 3 months to heal with the wound vacs and everything like that. And I was starting to get trouble, like I was trying to get like issues. I mean, I didn't really, like, I was going to the hospital and coming back home, because they never put you, unless they're told to, they never keep you in the hospital. I mean, you could have your head like half off, and they try not to admit you, and but after a few months, finally the doctor, I asked him, I said, what do I need to do to get myself better? Because I'm thinking, like, and he goes, well, you need to chop off your other 4 toes. We need to remove them. And he sort of missold me on it a little bit. I mean, I don't think he really meant to. I don't think he's that type of guy. But he pretty much sold me like it's only going to take about 2 months to heal. And even though it's all 4 toes, because we can just do like a single like stitch right across the foot. So then the stitch would heal. Well, that's not what happened. Obviously, plans have changed, and I probably should have said something, but I just was like, okay, like just another thorn in the side, basically. And ended up.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, were the toes? Was that all from the diabetes?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's definitely from the high insulin resistance. I think it's from neuropathy. There were 2 pills that I found out that later on do affect. Well, one I was told affects it, and the other one I recently was told. And the one I was told that affects it somewhat is the metformin, that it actually lowers on your B12 and like your B vitamins. And B vitamins is like a nerve type thing, from what I'm gathering. I don't know fully. I'm not a doctor, but that's what I was gathering. And since it's my body, I act accordingly for my body. And then the second one I recently found out was the omeprazole affects neuropathy. And the omeprazole is even more problematic, because even before the foot things happened, I had really bad gastroparesis. So that's what they prescribed for me, was the omeprazole. Well, that was only supposed to be on for about 6 weeks.
Yeah.
They had me on for 6 years.
Oh man, I'm with you on that one, Thomas. I think I was on that same one for like 6 years. And after a couple of years, I'm like, why the hell am I still taking this thing?
Yeah. And I stayed on it for quite a while. Like, I was like trying to wean off it a little bit. Like, I was like, but up until 14 days ago, I fully went off it. Like, it's been 14 days since I've had the omeprazole at all. And with these actions and stuff like that, I'm not gonna lie, but
Right. So with the neuropathy, that's like pain or nerve issues. So like you couldn't feel your foot, couldn't feel your toe, you get injuries, and you.
Yep.
What led to the big toe initially? Did you get an injury or?
I'm guessing the shoes probably weren't really adequate for diabetes, because one of the things you get is you get swelling. You know, like you get a little lymphedema, I guess you could say. Like I still get it, but it's not as bad. It's definitely not as bad as it was. And I think the shoes were just too small, and it just caused pressure and just caused the big toe to do. I mean, now I have diabetic shoes, and I have a special shoe that actually has an insert in it because of the missing toes on the one foot. So I can I can walk, I just can't run very well. You
Right.
know, at least not yet. I'm being optimistic. You know, but
Your story really hits close to home. You probably heard me say this before, but I have a cousin that's probably your age. I don't know. He's around my age.
well, how
And
old is he?
I'm 44. I think he's 47. Maybe you're
Okay,
younger than him.
I'm 52.
52. Okay. He had the same thing, diabetes, and then neuropathy. He couldn't feel his foot. And the way you're describing it, Thomas, was exactly for him. He got an injury. I don't know. He stepped on something. He didn't feel it. Didn't really treat it or do anything about it. It was on the bottom of his foot, and it was a hole. It got bigger. They took some of his toes off, and then it was part of his foot. And now he just had his leg amputated at the knee. It just he never changed. Like after each one of those things, he never kind of changed. What was it like? So I don't want to have to make you rehash these things, but with the toes. So what did they end up doing? I apologize. I kind of interrupted. You were talking about the toes, and they were going to just do one stitch down the middle. And
well, they were going to do like one long stitch down, like bring the skin in and then do one long stitch. And what they ended up doing was they ended up keeping it open.
oh,
So, and it was pretty much they let it like close itself, but it took about over a year to close. So I had wound vacs, I had bandaging, just all different things. So finally it closed, it healed up, and it healed up nicely. But I contributed that to being like, I mean, the way I didn't really do carnivore per se, but I was, the life I had with her, like she was really bad. Like I was pretty much stuck in my room. So basically, my meals were sneaking outside sneaking in my own apartment, sneaking outside in the kitchen, quickly cooking like 3 burgers, putting them in a cast iron skillet, putting them in the oven for 20 minutes, timing it, and then coming out, getting them, and then like everything had to be like really quick because I was just so uncomfortable being in my own apartment, which is horrible to say.
right.
And there was even times I couldn't walk and stuff like that. So there were times when I would just eat, like I bought a refrigerator for my room, and I just had like cold cuts and stuff like that, But the times when I really, really cheated was like when I went to families, because I didn't really tell them what I was doing, and I would try to sneak it, like try to be good in a sneaky way, but still you have to, you don't know how they're doing the food. You don't know how things are being done. So even without doing anything wrong, you're still cheating because you don't know really what's in the food, Now it's a little different. Now I have the meat. Now I can cook, and I cook for my roommate now. I help him out. Even though, like I said, even though he's not carnivore, I still do cook. I cook chicken for him, and I cook different things for him. But I still cook the vegetables for him too, and stuff like that. I'm not going to not let him eat, for some reason. And he just never really learned how to cook. So he claims he can cook eggs, but I don't know. But he's a really nice guy, and compared to the other roommate, I'm very grateful for him. But what was I saying? So it was left open, so I had the wound vacs on it and all that stuff. And during the whole time, I'm like offloading, so I had what was called a knee scooter for a lot of the time. Now, when I had both feet having a problem, because the heel had problems again like 3 times after. So it was just different time frames, different things that went on, and finally both feet are healed. My last time in the hospital was because of the heel, but right before that, this is where the interesting story comes from. Not that my story is not interesting already, but this is so right after I had my toes, they were pretty much healed at this time, like not fully sealed, but somewhat sealed. Like I was able to go home. While I was going home, I went in a wheelchair, and I was in rehab for about 3 months before that. And I went home, and I had a pain in my back. And I originally thought it might have been from the bed at the rehab or from the wheelchair at the, because it wasn't a very comfortable wheelchair. So they gave me a new one, but I could hardly stand up. Like, I sat in the wheelchair, and it was just very painful. So I went to the hospital, told them what happened, and they gave me, through the IV, they gave me some Tylenol, saying, "Oh, this will be better because it goes right into your blood. It goes right into your, right into your system and all that stuff. You don't have to." I'm like, okay. So I get the thing, and it was two separate pains. The one pain kind of dissipated, but the other pain was still there. And I told them, I said, it really didn't help, you know. And the nurse goes to me with a straight face, and I'm guessing it wasn't a joke. So, she goes, "Well, we can't do anything because we already discharged you." I said, "Well, it didn't work. I mean, obviously, we need to find out what's going on here." She's like, "Well, yeah, we already discharged, so you have to come back tomorrow or come back at a different time."
Hmm.
And I'm thinking to myself, what if I was having a heart attack? Is that the rule you would have for that? Like, oh, well, I'm sorry that you're clasping your heart, but we can't really admit you because you've already been discharged. Like,
Crazy.
that makes no sense whatsoever because I'm already there, you
Right.
know? So I was sent home. Then about 3 days later, I went back. I actually endured it for 3 days, but I'm getting a little bit worse. But I also noticed too, and that time I didn't really know about like bathroom issues and stuff like that. It was about 4 or 5 days since I've been to the bathroom. So, so I thought I'd mention that. I'm like, well, maybe it's that, and maybe but maybe hopefully they'll still look at other reasons. Well, they took they actually, the doctor never, she just saw me for like 5 minutes, prescribed the laxative for me, but it was like, okay, let me do the number and everything, and the nurse will come by and help you out and all that stuff, and even unwrapped my foot to see if about my foot, and never helped me wrap it back up again. I had to wrap it myself. I waited there for 16 hours. And then at 16 hours, at around like 2 a.m, the security because I actually did get up from, like, after wrapping my foot, I got up and sat in the wheelchair because it was more, just I needed to get out of the bed. And I sat in the wheelchair, and the security guard takes me in the wheelchair and wheels me outside and says, "Okay, you need to call an Uber now. It's time to go."
Jeez.
No discharge whatsoever. Just kicked me out
Wow.
of the hospital.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And then, and this is actually right around my birthday. It was like, so then on the 19th, which my birthday's September 20th, this was actually September 19th, I go in the third time. At this time, I'm brought in by an ambulance, and they can't bring your wheelchair, so you pretty much have to stay in the gurney. And I pretty much, I went back into the hospital, told the guy, and this time I complained about the 2 other days. So I already called up and complained about it. So they probably got word of the complaint or something. But I told the doctor what happened, and he goes, right away, he actually, gave me an MRI, gave me a CAT scan, gave me all this stuff. And they found the infection right inside my spine.
Hmm.
Like, it was like a MRSA infection, I think it was, or something like that.
Oh.
And they said it was pretty much right inside the spine, and it was causing me. And by that time, not only could I not walk or go in the wheelchair, I literally was in the gurney. I keep on forgetting the name of it, the bed, was in the bed, and I was like literally sliding down it because those plastic sheets don't, and I'm sliding down, and I had to have, for almost a month, I had to have somebody pull me up, and I had to be helped I'm just going to say every single way. I had to be helped while I was in the rehab. Now I got better, obviously, and I was able to move up. It affected my stomach, affected everything. like I wasn't able to eat. And the sad thing is, during this time, when on the third, when I did the second time, I thought maybe if I fasted, maybe I would have some improvement. And and so I fasted for like 4 days. Well, when they did the check, my foot doctor wanted, because of all the problems I had with my foot, he wanted to make sure that there was nothing wrong with the foot. So he scheduled an operation for like 12 hours later, for like right after the hospital, get the operation. Well, it ended up being backed up for an extra day. And the thing was, when you get operated on, I don't know if you've ever had this experience, or I'm sure you do know, because I'm sure that when you that you have to you dry fast actually right before it. Like, you're not supposed to eat like at least 12 hours before. Well, they had me dry fasting for 36 hours.
Mm.
So I already water fasted for 4 days, dry fasted for 36 hours. And then I got so sick from the infection and everything like that, I wasn't able to eat for up, like, the total was 9 days that I wasn't. So and fasting's good, but not in that way.
Right.
And I lost a lot of weight. I went down to I was like about 260, 65 at the time. And I went down to 208 within like the couple of weeks that I was in the, like I just went right down.
You were like dying.
Yeah. I felt like it. I really did, And my brother-in-law, he thought he's like, well, yeah, you're losing bone mass. You're losing, so it wasn't even fat weight. It was just, strength, So, I mean, now with the carnivore diet, I feel that I'm doing it the right way. I'm losing my fat, not losing, or the excess fat, I should say, and, but it was scary. It was very scary. And, I mean, now I'm doing good.
That's crazy. We interviewed a woman, Mimi, who
Right.
had Parkinson's, but she had an infection in her back. And I think she said it was MRSA or one other one. And she was very similar to what you said. She's in the hospital for like a month. And she's one of the toughest people I've ever met. And she said it was the worst, most agonizing pain of her entire life. And similar to you, she was unfortunately just kind of dismissed by the healthcare team. Like, it's just fine. Just send her back. Give her this, give her that, whatever. It was like your story is very, very similar to hers. That's crazy. I can't imagine. So were you in the hospital for like a month?
Hospital, no, because I think hospitals really can't keep you. I mean, there's only one guy that I saw in there for longer than a month. And that was kind of a legal thing. I had a roommate that was obviously very bad dementia, and they took away his computer and his phone because he was like going and buying things that he wasn't supposed to be. And the doctor prescribed that he gets that taken off. So I think with his issue, I think they had to wait for him to, it's just it was very like, he didn't have the family to set to take care of him. And they just, but most of the time, the longest I was in the hospital, at the hospital itself, was maybe 2 weeks.
Okay.
Which is still longer than you'd want to have.
Right.
Usually they'll send you to a rehab, and normally that you don't really have a good diet with the hospital or the rehabs.
Right.
I mean, their idea of a diabetic diet is a joke. Except for that one guy that you were talking about, which I saw. I didn't see him on your channel. I don't know if he was on your channel yet. I know you were planning on it. That I forget what his name is. The guy that does has the nursing homes.
Yeah, he hasn't been on my channel yet. His name is Hal Cranmer.
Okay,
we're going to be.
Yeah, I actually saw him on Michaela Peterson.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
Yeah. So as soon as you mentioned it, I knew exactly what you were talking about.
Right. So, man, you've been through so much. Lost the toes, foot issue, the blood infection, diabetes. Like, how long ago was all of that? And was there a point where you like, this is it now? I need to do some major change. Did you just stumble upon carnivore?
Well, like I said, I've been carnivore for I've been pretty much carnivore for quite a while. But it would be sort of like, I'd be carnivore, for like 3 weeks, and then either depression or going to a family thing or something would just basically like be like, okay, I feel like having this, or I'm gonna, and then I'd go off it, but then I go right back on it again. Like for example, like sometimes I'll go downstairs and they have, I don't know if I mentioned this or not. I think I have, but I don't know if you knew this or not. There's a chocolate place right below me in my house, in my apartment. So, and they're very nice people. They're actually pretty supportive of what I'm doing and everything like that. Like I go there to get coffee, and and that's it. And they know what I'm doing. And I even asked one of the waitresses, is like just to test her. Not waitress, one of the cashiers, as a, just to test. I'm like, yeah, I like to have like, a cupcake or something like that. And they're like, nope, you can't have it. So it's pretty good that you get like kind of like, even though you don't understand what I'm doing, that there's sort of that little bit of like that support, not that support that says, oh, well, you deserve to have this, or like this is, which I never get. Like, don't I deserve to be healthy too and not die?
Right. That's got to be like weighing on you too, is that you have that temptation with the chocolate shop down there, but then you have the thoughts of what's next after the toes. Do you lose the rest of the foot or the leg, or who knows from there? It seems
Or
like
the other foot. Do I actually lose the toes on the other foot?
Quick interruption. Did you know we have an incredible membership site for you called healinghumanity.life? We have a special offer going on right now. Learn more at the link in the description. We have courses, we have expert Q&As with the good doctors. We even have a Healing Humanity Heroes Zoom call once a week, highlighting real heroes that will inspire you on a path to healing. The community is wonderful. We're going to be implementing a buddy system so you can be held accountable, recipes, all sorts of great stuff to help you on a path to healing. Learn more at the link in the description below. Right.
Yeah. I mean, that's like I've mentioned before, I say that my why is to get my A1C down to 5.4. But if you think about it, that's a pretty big why, because I think of insulin resistance as the base of everything going on. Like diabetes is caused by insulin resistance, technically, is from what I'm gathering. And that's enough information for me to gather a hypothesis of my own, And I think of two things. I think of as a tree. I think of carnivore as a tree, and I think of insulin resistance as a tree. Obviously, one's gloomy and the other one's bright and cheerful. But you can take your pick on which one you think is which. But the gloomy tree, you have the insulin resistance as your base, and then as things grow, different things come out of it, and it becomes diabetes, and you become like gastroparesis, and you have problems with neuropathy, and you have, all these issues, obesity, all these issues that have arisen because of the insulin resistance.
Right.
And so, it's very important to me. Like, that's my biggest why. Now, once I get my A1C down to 5.4, I'll probably still stay on carnivore, because I kind of think of it, and maybe not many people do, but I kind of think of diabetes as, even if I reverse it, and even if I get it where it's good, and I don't need the insulin anymore, and I don't need all this stuff, I kind of think of it like almost like alcoholism. You're still an alcoholic, even if you don't drink any beer, because as soon as you have that one beer, there's a problem.
Right.
So I got to be careful. Now, will I calm down a little bit and cheat every once in a while with like family? If my sister makes something that I like or something like that, I can't tell you. I don't think anybody could tell you the future,
Right.
But right now, it's not in my plan. It's not in my wheelhouse.
Right.
And
well, I love your perspective and the way you're looking at it, because I'm with you 100%. The diabetes, or just carbs in general, I feel like it's all an addiction. Nobody really admits it's an addiction, but had you had any other addiction, Thomas, like a hard drug or alcohol, you wouldn't be moderating it. You wouldn't be like, well, now I've quit for a while, so now I can have my vodka. I just have to add a little bit of water to it. Then I'll be fine. That'd be crazy. Like you overcame so much to do that. But
yeah,
I think a lot of people don't admit that. But I love the tree analogy too, because there's so much more coming out too about insulin resistance, like dementia, Alzheimer's, cancer. There's so many things downstream from that, and I think it's all connected. It's all connected from, you can call it insulin resistance, eating carbs, or just whatever we're doing is we're doing things that aren't natural to the human body at a larger scale than has ever been seen before, and we're getting sicker and sicker as we do it more and more, kind of thing.
Well, it's kind of funny. When I was in the hospital, a few of the times, I didn't really think about that analogy until later on, like years later. But the thing I was like drawn to draw were trees. Every time I drew trees on a piece of paper,
Right.
and it's, like in retrospect, I think I mentioned this on Dave Mack too. In retrospect, I think that there was a hidden message in there, because why is that the drawing that I'm inclined to draw, you
Mm.
know, of different forms, different branches and stuff like that. But I was like, I think this is why I drew it. Like I even did a video recently of while like drawing a tree in the video, so on my YouTube channel.
That's
So
great.
it's, so I mean which I mean just doing, I think the missing element I had, and I guess I'm sort of selling this, the missing element I had with everything was, I think, being on the diet and doing the meats and stuff like that is good, but I think you need, at least in the beginning, I think you need some support,
Right.
you know. And you were the first person you're the first person I contacted. Like for some reason, I just thought, I'm like, maybe I'll tell Carrie Mann my story, at least a little bit of my story. And you were actually the first person I emailed about. I don't know if you remember or not, but you're the first person. And then I went on, and then I was on the chats. I figured out how to do the chats. At first, I was just doing it from the TV, so I couldn't talk. I was watching you for over a year,
Mm.
like watching everybody, you, Bella, everybody, for over a year. But I was doing it from the TV, so there's no chat. So it was like kind of like that hidden fan behind, And finally, I figured out the chat. And one day, I'm like, I'll just do a comment. And the comment came on. It was actually one where I mentioned about your daughter Emma and Alyssa, but I accidentally put Allison in the
Yep.
thing, and like I don't, and that's the first comment I made that you had answered, on the TV or on the thing. And then I did the contest, and I won the membership life, and that was the first membership I did. And I had some money problems, but the money problems wasn't really money problems. It was more like timing of when it would renew,
Uh,
So I needed to like stop and then start back up again right at the time, because I get paid once a month, and I wanted it to be like right when I got paid, not that much into it, just in case I didn't have enough money or something. And then I joined Old Guy Carnivore,
nice.
did his membership, and I've been actually on a few of his panels, and and then I was on a few with Russ, Homesick Buckeye,
Homesick Buckeye.
and then I was on Nia Nova once on her panel, and then and later on I was on a chat with Bella on her thing, and I asked Dr. Phil a question about the omeprazole, but with not enough information. So I finally said to him, I said, "Can I just email you? Because this is long-winded, and your texts don't go long enough for me to talk,
Right.
So I ended up emailing, and then she offered me a free membership.
Oh,
So
nice.
now I'm part of Steak and Butter Gal, and I'm part of Old Guy Carnivore. So I have all these memberships. It's all this support, and then I do the YouTube channels and everything. And I think that was the missing puzzle throughout all this.
Yeah.
That was the
It
thing that keeps me from going off and on,
Right. Well, that's so good to hear. I'm with you on that too. It's we're the weird ones, right? Us carnivores. We're living in a world where we're the weird ones, and you especially, Thomas, you go down the stairs, you got a chocolate shop there. It's like everywhere you go, it's sugar, it's carbs, but family get-togethers, everything. So having a community of like-minded individuals, even online, I think it's so big for so many people. And maybe it's not forever. Who knows? Maybe it's just in the beginning or the tough times that you need it. But it's there for you, kind of thing. So that's awesome. All those people are great. I was so fortunate. I got to meet him twice now. Old guy Carnivore Mitch. We're going to be doing a video again soon. I love him. He's great. I think of all of the carnivores, him
Mitch
and
is such
I,
a good guy.
such a good guy. Yeah. And we totally just, a lot of the things he says, I'm like, yes, that's what I wanted to say. That's what I'm trying to say. He does
Well, I
this
mean,
stuff.
I think he has like a different kind of wisdom that, I think we all need. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, like he says, he's an old guy carnivore. And I mean, technically, if you think about it, he's probably not the oldest one that's actually out there. There's
Right.
probably a lot of people. I mean, Maggie comes to mind, isn't she? Yeah, she's like a few years older than him.
She's
And then,
83. I think she
and I
just hit
think
84.
there was another couple one time that Dave Mack had, an English couple that were
Yeah.
like late 80s, early 90s almost.
Amazing.
Um,
That makes me so happy when I hear that. One of the first people I had on my channel was Carnivore Ron, and he wasn't even that old. I think he's late 60s or early 70s now. And
oh yeah, he looks like he's in his 40s basically.
yeah, he's awesome. Ever since I had him on my channel, though, I had so many comments initially on my channel from people in their 60s, 70s, 80s that were like, "Yeah, I've been doing carnivore for 3 years now," and I'm like, "What? In your 80s? That's awesome. I love to hear that." I don't know, Thomas. I just think like I feel like I'd be set in my ways in my 80s. Like, there's no way I'm switching to this crazy carnivore thing. But there's a lot of people doing it, and they're having a lot of success. And I think a lot of them are getting inspired by people like Old Guy Carnivore Mitch and people putting their stories out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. Like I now have an Instagram. I now have Instagram. I've always had Instagram, but I never did the carnivore on Instagram, probably because of fear of anybody finding out I'm carnivore. But now I'm not really afraid. So, I mean, there's hundreds of people that are carnivore. Now, whether or not they're out in the media and stuff like that, it's probably even more than that. I probably have, including you and Emma and Old Guy Carnivore and everybody, and Adam. I probably have like close to like 30 at least subscriptions, of different people. Right. And one guy I wish he actually had a YouTube channel, but I can kind of understand why he doesn't, is Papa Carnivore.
Right.
Because I had to do a shout out for him because he told me that he emailed you to tell you that he was like a friend of mine and everything like that, which was absolutely true. And so I shout out to him for that.
I want to shout out Papa Carnivore again now too. That guy is incredible. He's such a like you guys in the community, in the chat, supportive. Him in particular, I don't know how he does it. He's like everywhere. You go on every video and he's on there, but he's like really helping a lot of people, supporting them, answering their questions in the comments. I got to meet him out at the
meetup. Yeah, unfortunately, I can't do the meetups yet. I will be able to, and that'll probably be a big thing when I do the first meetup.
And you said you're in Jersey, right?
I'm in Jersey.
I'm trying to think. There's one. I think there's
Lisa
Yeah, she's up in that area. And Dr. Kilt's in New York, anyways.
Right. I mean, for me, it's not really it's more just a matter of this,
Right.
But I am looking to get a job, even though like I've been out of the workforce for a while. A lot of people don't want to hire me because I still kind of like, I'm not the fastest person in the world. There are still people that are reluctant, but I'm confident that eventually I will get that job. And so I'm doing carnivore in the meantime. I'm getting better. Yeah. And when that happens, then the money I get from working will go to, because I have full-time disability now. It's no longer part-time. So I can only work so much anyway by law until I'm definitely ready 100%.
Right.
But I can work about 17 hours a week, I think it is, which is 2 days a week, and that will give me about, I don't know, $300 a week. So I think if 90% of that's put in the savings, I think I can do a trip. And one of the trips, I don't want to call it a bucket list because I don't plan on dying. So I want to call it a reliving list, is to actually go and visit the Montello Theater.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
I'd love to see that. I mean, that just fascinates me. to see the history that
Yeah.
that theater gives. You know, I
Hey,
mean,
open invite anytime. And we got an Airbnb here too, so we got a place for you to stay.
oh, cool.
Um, yeah, the theater's great. We do history tours there, and yeah, you'd love it. It's really cool too. We can put your we can put YouTube videos right on the big screen. I've
Oh,
watched a lot
good.
of yeah, I've actually watched quite a few Bill Knott videos right on the big screen there.
Oh, cool. And oh, speaking of Bill Nye, if you know, I don't know if you, I think I mentioned it on the last chat on the last live, but I bought a Bill Knott shirt
Oh, nice.
with Bill Knott and Daisy, and I bought it. I actually purposely bought it in red, because I found out there's a guy that's part of the SPG team. I'm not going to name his name because he's very private, but he's actually, I guess, ex-military, and ends up that red. For the military, they wear Friday. I forget what they call it, but it's like pretty much they wear red on Fridays for the people that are still deployed and not home
Mm.
yet. So I figure in his honor and in Bill Knott's honor and Daisy's honor, I I got the red shirt of Bill
Oh,
Knott and
that's
Daisy.
so nice. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So once I haven't gone in yet, you know, but yeah, it's pretty exciting. I mean, and the things I've won, I never won so many things in my life. I won the life with you, I won
Right?
with Bella, then I won this shirt that I'm wearing right now, the Healing Humanity shirt,
Oh, nice.
and then I also won from Bella. I won the Carnivore crisps, which I love, and then I'm going to try them for the first time, the Carnivore bars.
Oh, nice.
So, you know, it's like, wow, you know, it's like all the month of June, like, this is the luckiest year
That's
so
awesome.
far, you know? So,
That's
yeah,
great.
I've been through the ringer and everything the past couple of years, but this year so far is like a blessing to me. It's like a miracle, you
That's
know?
amazing.
And
So happy to hear that because it's crazy what you've been through.
yeah,
It's
and one
unbelievable.
of the things I love to do is I like to be more helpful, more into, like, I don't know how I'd be able to do that, but I'd like to be able to help more, like, you know, like be a part of, you know, just be more of an influence. And I'm hoping my YouTube videos do that, but you know, like, you know, so I mean, anything you would want me to do or need me to do or think I could do, just I'll try my best and do it.
Well, I appreciate it. You're doing it right now, telling your story. That's going to be a big thing. We're going to get a lot of comments on this video that Thomas, your story inspired someone. So many people out there with diabetes or similar issues that you've had that they can't relate to me, they can't relate to Bill, or they can't relate to Maggie, but maybe they'll be able to relate to your story.
Yeah.
The other thing I would have suggested, but I don't have to because you've already done it, which I think is awesome, is you got your YouTube channel. What inspired you to do that? And I'll have a
Oh,
link for that in the description too, by the way. Everyone go subscribe to Thomas, Target Prime Rib on YouTube, give him some love. But what inspired you to do the YouTube channel?
um, I guess you guys. I wasn't sure how. I think I just did it like as a trial. I'm like, let me see if I can do a video, and because at that time I didn't know how to put it on YouTube, you know, and so I just did a video. I'm like, hey, let me just try it out, and I just told my story. And I think originally the video was supposed to be just me journaling my story, and I think something just kind of like clicked in me, like, you know, I'm not going to edit this. All my videos really aren't edited, you know. I mean, at least because I don't really have an editing. I mean, like how I have to do a video is I pretty much do the video, and then if I, like, say I mention your name, well, then what I do is I stop the video right after I mention your name, take a picture of you, put the picture in, and then I start the video up again. So
Mm,
like I have the video, put the picture in, so it's actually keeps on being broken up.
right.
So even though it's all together, I can't really do that in the video. Like I can't really do picture in picture and stuff like that, you know, at least not to a full point. But I would really say the original inspiration was you. Like when I say you guys, I mean everybody. Like everybody that, you know, like what's the big deal of trying this? You know, I mean, like you're a pretty, you know, like compared to me, you're a pretty big channel, you know, obviously. And Bella's big channel, and you know, you all big channels. So you inspired me. But I think what really got me as the small guy was people like Booby Goats.
Yeah.
You know,
She just emailed me something too, by the way. She's got a
oh,
new trailer she posted. I got to check out.
yeah, I checked it out. It's pretty much that's going to be pretty interesting if that's actually going to be a longer, because I think it's only like what, like 50 seconds or something like that. I
Something like
think.
that. She just sent it to me before I call her, so I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but I'm going to.
Yeah. Um, so that's pretty much what inspired, like Booby Goats actually helped me. My roommate actually, I do get him to watch the videos and stuff like that. So he's seen you guys. He knows exactly who you are. He knows exactly who Old Guy Carnivore. He loves Old Guy Carnivore, probably because he's 68, so he relates a little bit. But I on my video, he suggested like just like Booby Goats, and he loves her because of her name.
Right? Don't we all?
Because of her, he thought I should do a tagline, like a beginning, like because if you ever know, she always says, hey, what was he? She said.
Quick interruption. Thank you so much for watching. If you're interested in learning more about our documentary, Healing Humanity, The Power of a Proper Human Diet, or supporting it, please visit donate.healinghumanity.movie. Our goal is to reach millions of people that are hopeless right now, and sharing the examples of real people over the course of 1 year that are undertaking a proper human diet to overcome obesity, type 2 diabetes, depression, anxiety, fertility issues. We couldn't do it without you. We thank you so much. We are also selling these shirts, Healing Humanity, The Power of a Proper Human Diet. Every penny we get from those goes towards the documentary. And last, we have memberships. If you click the little join button, it's best to do it on desktop. Under any one of my YouTube videos, you can join and become a member. We have hundreds of members right now. We do members only videos. We do members only behind the scenes. You can email me as a member and I'll answer you. And every penny from that goes to support the documentary. And the last thing is we have these Redmond's portable salt shakers. These things are awesome. You can get the best salt. You can take it with you. We sell these on the website along with our water bottles and cutting boards, and every penny from all of those goes 100% towards supporting the documentary. You can also sign up for our newsletter, which is completely free. All of these links are in the description below. Thank you so much for your support. Now back to today's video.
Hey, ghosters or something. I forget what she says, but she says something. So I did a contest on who would be the best entrance, but people giving me exits, like ways to go off the show. And she was like, she gave me the heading that she just said, "Hey, fellow riblets," from Target Prime Rib, riblet.
Nice.
So I might start using that in my YouTube channel. I just have to, but I got like 3 choices as endings, which I don't have written down right now, so I can't really read them off the top of my head. But
Right.
But it's a world that's opened up so much. I mean, I don't know if you felt the same way when all this happened to you in the beginning. Like it's like, oh my God, but it really is, like, and I think everything comes at the right time. I really do. To give you an example, I think, like a lot of people are like with your movie, like, why can't the movie be out now? Why isn't the movie ready? And I understand why it's not ready for you, but I think it's also fate, because think about it. It's now with the administration coming in, now with everything going on, people being a little bit more aware, and it growing. I think your movie's coming right at the right time.
Yeah, well, that's I really appreciate you saying that. I'm with you too. I wanted it to be done months ago. Just real quick for those listening, part of the reason we're not quite done yet, we're really close. 45 interviews. We have about 5 left, but a couple people were filming over the course of a year, including Mimi, who we were talking about earlier, that had the similar back infection that you had, Thomas. She hasn't hit her year yet, and so that's why it's taking a little while longer. But I've said this before to Adam. I'm like, we could cut that part out, put that in the series, and be done. But to your point that you just said, it's fate. Like there's a bigger plan. There's something going on here, because if we would have released it, let's say 3 months ago, it's going to reach so many more people now. And I think in a couple months from now, even that many more, now that this awareness is getting out there and this is on so many more people's radar than it would have been had it come out earlier. So it is what it's going to be worth the wait. It is what it is. But I think you're absolutely right. It's all part of a bigger plan. It's going to happen at the best time that it could. So.
Yeah. I mean, I think even bad things, I think they happen for a reason. It's just when you're going through it, you're like, okay, but and plans aren't really explained to you. I
Right.
mean, God's God or whoever you believe in is probably thinking like, well, I know what the plan is. You don't need to know the plan.
Right. Yeah.
It's, I
Every
mean, there's an
every
old
bad
saying,
right.
yeah.
I've realized is I'm getting older. It's like it's just like what you just said. There really isn't anything bad. It's all there. It's a lesson. Lesson's a blessing. You learn from it. It helps you grow. If you didn't have that, you wouldn't have learned. You wouldn't have grown. You'd have been kind of stagnant how you were before. But some of it's hard to wrap our brains around. But then as we get older, it falls into place and seems to make sense. So
I mean, like I was saying, like I've been like carnivore all along, on and off, but I personally don't consider myself full carnivore until I join the communities.
right,
Not because of going off and on, because I mean, to me, 3 weeks strict is still 3 weeks strict,
right,
but it was when I joined you, when I joined Bella, when I joined Mitch, when I, did all these communities, did all these chats, did all this community, you know, I think that's when I really became carnivore
yeah.
fully.
Do
Yeah.
you feel like you said, there's no mistakes, there is no bad. We kind of learn from it, but do you have any sort of anger or resentment or just thinking in retrospect, like, man, if I would have just been eating this carnivore way, or in other words, eating a proper human diet since birth, maybe you'd still
I
have
mean,
your
like regret.
toes?
Um, yeah. I mean, I don't think you would be human if you didn't have that feeling. Like, you find something that's helping you, you find something that's healing you. I'm sure the thought goes into everybody's head. If I was only doing this from the beginning, or if I did this from this point, or something like that, I'd be so much better off now. Like, would I prevented my toes from being lost? Would I prevented from having to go to the hospital so many times? Would I still be in the job I had? Like, because the original job I had, I don't know if I know this or not, but I used to, for 25 years, I measured people for tuxedos.
Mm,
And so, like, for when you had your wedding, I would have been the guy that measure you and help you with your wedding,
mm,
you know? And matter of fact, I was in for so long, I actually did somebody for their prom. And then years later, I did them for their wedding
mm.
years later. So, I mean, 25 years is a big chunk of your life.
Yeah,
But I had to give it up because the diabetes was affecting me. It was affecting because it didn't just affect my body, it affects your brain too. You start doing things that are just like, you become a little loopy, you become, not that I'm not still loopy, but I'm just not as bad as I used to be. That's the least what my family would say. You're like, well, you're still loopy. But
my last question, Thomas, this has been great. I'm so thankful that you came on here and shared your story on the type 2 diabetes. I never knew that you could reverse type 2 diabetes. Like I said, I have my cousin, I've had other family members that have had it. And my perception of type 2 diabetes was this is like a disease that people get because there's something wrong with them. What are your thoughts on that? If there's people that are watching this that have type 2 diabetes, is it,
well, I think, again, I mean, going back to, you're never really going to fully get rid of it. All you can really do is lower it down and learn how to control it and get rid of the meds and control it with where it's diet only. But if you do cheat, don't think that your sugars aren't going to go up or that things aren't going to go. If you keep on doing it, there's going to be a problem. The occasional cheat's one thing, like one a thing of fries, like one small thing of fries or something like that is one thing. But do that every day, do that all the time, and make that your everyday thing. That's another story. Both are bad, but one obviously is a lot worse. But that being said, um, I don't think that I don't think people inherit being diabetic. I think what they inherit is the ability that it's going to affect them more. I think everybody is affected differently to the other person. And so I don't think you're really inheriting diabetes. I think you're just inheriting the ability for the sugars to be affecting you, if that makes any sense.
right?
So, you know, So if you have a family, like I did have my grandfather on my father's side actually was diabetic, and but he lost his leg in the war. He actually lost his whole leg in the war, like from the knee down. Um, but we think diabetes is what really made it worse,
Mm.
Um, but he was like totally like from the South, and he's just very Southern, very, and like everything was like cornbread and beans, and so you're not going to really change his diet on that, and he smoked Camels of all. From what I hear, it's like the most powerful cigarette out there. Not to have anything against smoking, but I'm not a smoker myself, so it's um but basically, yeah, I don't think that I have a way of going around the situation. I don't think that it really is a death sentence if you learn how to take care of yourself and you learn to diet. Do I think it's a death sentence if you're continuing on the advice that you have? I mean, sorry about that. This is the book that I find a joke,
Mm.
and I read in one of the, I didn't read it, I skimmed it, because I already find a joke before I'm reading it, so why would I read it? But I just figured I'd take a look, and inside it says, suggestion for carbs: eat cookies as long as they're 3 grams of carbs. So it's literally telling you to eat cookies.
It's telling an alcoholic to have a little bit of beer.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
Yeah, have 1 beer a day. You're fine.
Yeah. If you just keep it to the one, you'll be fine. Even though
And
you're
not to be mean, but have you ever had a good cookie that was only 3 grams of carbs?
No. And I've never had one. I've never eaten one cookie either. I'll eat the entire package.
That's like a crumb about the size of the end of this pencil.
Right. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Thomas, for sharing your story. I really appreciate it. I think it's going to inspire a lot of people. I encourage
So.
everyone to check out your YouTube channel, Target Prime Rib. I will leave a link in the description below. Is there anything else you want to mention or shout out besides the YouTube channel before we wrap up?
No, just let you know. I don't know if you were aware of this, but on the last video that I did, I actually did a shout out to you. And well, I didn't really do a shout out. I was doing about my ending. I was saying about your ending, about when you do the beep,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, and how I mentioned you and Emma doing the beep, and Jen. And I don't know what Jen's YouTube channel is, but I actually did a shout out to both you and Emma, and put in my link your channel and Emma's channel, and I also put in her website for her Compassionate Carnivore. So
Oh, that's so cool. Thank you so
yeah,
much.
no problem, no problem.
Appreciate it.
So, and I
Awesome.
saw
Well,
her last video about the chaffles.
nice. Yeah, she's been working hard on her videos lately, doing lots of cooking videos.
Yeah.
So
And I even put in the chat of the last one. You mentioned something about like no one notices that I'm 700 days in. So I said to you, I said, I cared, Carrie.
appreciate it. Awesome. Thank you so much, Thomas, for sharing your story. I really appreciate it. Have a great day.
No problem. You too. Thank you.